The following production is produced by the State University of New York College at Oneonta.
Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Red Dragon Sports. I'm your host, Geoff Hassard, Assistant Director of Athletics and Sports Information Director here at SUNY Oneonta. And as we close in on the latter third of our spring schedule, even though the weather hasn't cooperated too much with us here, we are going to invite into studio tonight, we're going to talk men's lacrosse. We've invited into studio head men's lacrosse coach Dan Mahar and a couple of our senior captains. So please join me after the break, where I'll be joined by tonight's first guest, Dan Mahar.
WUOW 104.7 FM is the region's premier radio station, offering award-winning programming from National Public Radio and Pacifica Radio networks, giving you the chance to become more informed about the arts, information, and entertainment from around the country and around the world. WUOW is your community radio station. Join us and support the sound.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now in studio is head men's lacrosse coach Dan Mahar. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thanks, Geoff. Thanks for having me.
How are things going? The weather's been kind of crazy, but we've been able to still play our lacrosse. So how's it going?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously wreaked havoc on all of us, and certainly we've been more fortunate than maybe our baseball and softball teams, but it still has had its impact on us. But we're persevering, and we're fortunate to have a facility that we can get out there and don't have to deal with some of the mud. But you know, with the snow and with the temperatures and things like that, we certainly had to fight through a tough winter here. But we're plugging along and entering this SUNYAC here.
That's right. We're into the we'll be into the middle of the SUNYAC schedule. Certainly, last year we made the tournament, which was a goal for our program. And once you get there, you know, anything can happen. And try to get to the NCAA tournament. So as you look at this year's team. Why don't you highlight some of the things that have been going on? Of course, we have one of the toughest schedules in Division III this year. We've played, already 4 teams that are nationally ranked. I mean, maybe talk about that a little bit and how you think our team has been doing.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, as you kind of highlighted, our objective is to make the SUNYAC postseason, try and get in a 2-game winning streak there in the SUNYACs, and then make it to the NCAA. So that's really what our schedule and our philosophy kind of revolves around. And so, kind of to that end, we're gonna try and compete against the best schools that we possibly can. And so, that's a double-edged sword, and we're certainly experiencing part of that right now at this point of the year. But we feel like, you know, even though our record right now isn't what we want it to be, we feel like we're a relatively seasoned team at this point, certainly relative to some of the other teams in the SUNYAC. And you mentioned the strength of our schedule. You know, I think if you look at some of the teams that we've played at this phase of the season, you know, that group between them only really has a handful of losses, and a lot of the losses that those teams have are amongst one another. And so, again, a very competitive start to our season. But again, the objective and the design is to prepare us to become a more seasoned team and prepare us to really compete in the SUNYAC.
Right, so those early season tests are really, you know, get us to that point where when we get into the SUNYAC part of our schedule, you know, against the teams that we will compete against, Geneseo, Potsdam, Plattsburgh, those kinds of teams, you feel that actually will be an edge for us. Yeah,
well, that's certainly the philosophy. You know, I think in years past we've had better records against some of the teams that we've struggled against this year, but you know, again, we want to try and challenge ourselves so that we know who we are heading into SUNYAC, rather than trying to figure that out midway through SUNYAC and scramble and try to make a lot of adjustments kind of on the fly in really those critical games. And so again, I'm not pleased with where our record is. None of our players are, and that's certainly something that's taken its toll. But I think I am very confident with knowing who we are at this point in the year, and knowing that we still can certainly accomplish all of our goals, and that we're in a position to do exactly that.
Now, why don't you talk about some of our top players and some of the people, let's highlight some of the players that we have that we certainly, seem to be more athletic. We're up and down the field a little bit quicker than maybe in years past. So why don't you talk about some of those players?
Yeah, I mean, you really at every position, I think we don't have a lot of guys out there that are struggling to compete in terms of their athleticism, and so. Our attack, we've really had 4 guys that have been seeing meaningful time for us this year. Senior Scott Kelman, and then we've had 2 sophomores, and a freshman, John Diordio, who's had a real great year for us so far. Mike Salerno, who's had a great year, and then Dan Stern, who's a freshman for us, has really come on late and played great lacrosse, hard worker, small guy, but tough as nails. And to use this past weekend as an example, was matched up against a first team All-American on Saturday, and more than held his own in that game. And then again, you move to the midfield. A lot of depth at the midfield. Jim Van de Veerdonk right now is our leading scorer, who's a sophomore, a phenomenal athlete, gets it done at both ends of the field. Brian Collar's a senior, another great athlete, a guy who's real dangerous at both ends of the field. And then, we just have a wave of other guys, Tom Kelly, Mario Allegra, Sal Valenti. I can go on and on. We got a lot of guys, Tyler Jennings, that can do a lot of nice things for us. So defensively, we're a little bit thinner maybe than we have been in the past. But again, a lot of guys that can play for us, and great athletes. Tyler Gore's a guy who was first team All-SUNY last year. He's actually been a little bit banged up here. He had shoulder surgery in the fall, and has kind of been a little bit slow coming back from that, getting back into his 2010 form, but starting to hit his stride at this point of the year, and then had a little bit of a knee injury last week, which he's recovering from now. Hugh O'Gorman, again, a phenomenal athlete. He's having a great year for us, covering the top guy on every team that we've played so far. Scott Cirillo has had a breakout year as a sophomore defenseman for us. Devin Fooey's having a real solid year, and then senior Steve Campbell has been competing for us as well. So
now, how important is it for young guys coming into the program? How important is it for them to kind of get acclimated right away and be contributors? I mean, how important is that for us?
I think with the type of player that we're recruiting, when I first got here, I felt like we had some real good players, but certainly when we look at playing and competing against teams like Cortland and some of the top teams in the country, athletically, I felt like we were behind, and so we're trying to recruit these athletes, and I think we have great athleticism. But I mean, just like every program and every sport at the college level, there's still the element of being a freshman and kind of having that freshmanitis, if you will. And so I think getting some of those guys experience early, and again, Dan Stern maybe is the exception to the rule, but I think that as these guys continue to gain more experience and they get through some of that. Some of those jitters and things related to being a freshman, I think that experience will really help them develop and become the players that they're capable of being.
Now, is that transition, because you were a college lacrosse player for us here at Oneonta.
Yep.
What kind of a transition do you think it is? How hard is it harder today to make that transition from a high school player to college player?
I think it really is. I mean, the sport has grown so much really since I was playing here. I mean, there was 20 very good teams when I was playing. There's 50 or more very good teams nowadays, and so we don't have a game that we can go out and really against almost anyone, certainly in the Northeast, that we can go out and just win just based upon our athleticism or showing up. But we got to compete every single day, and so. I think that because the sport has grown so much, and at the high school level, maybe not quite as quickly at the college level, everyone's good, and the pace of the game and the speed of the game and the size and the strength of the players, it's a whole new ball game, and so there is that sort of learning curve when you come in as a freshman.
Right now, do you think that the pool of players, talented players, is bigger for all the colleges to choose from, and how do we target, the players that we would like to have at Oneonta?
I think that it is, and I think that there's no shortage of players out there, that are interested in Oneonta that we can certainly, get interest in, and also that have the athleticism and the abilities to play at the college level. But again, I think you can look across the board at how good the teams that we're competing against are, and they're in the same boat. They have no shortage of players that they can choose from, and so as our talent pool hypothetically has improved over the past 10 years, to the same degree, so has some of our opponents. So it's again a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Now, what kinds of when you're out recruiting? Obviously, you can talk about Oneonta, the experience that you had here as a student athlete and being a member of our lacrosse program. What kinds of things do you try and highlight to the prospective students?
Well, I think that you look at what we can offer institutionally, both in terms of our academic reputation, the cost of our degree, the services that we offer here, the environment that we have on campus. I think that those are things that maybe you can't find at the next place. And then certainly once we can get guys initially interested in the college at Oneonta, we bring them up here, we introduce them to some of our players. A lot of times there's already a previous connection. Maybe we have a guy who's on a team at a high school where we have somebody already. That obviously helps a tremendous deal amount. And then now with club lacrosse and some of the summer programs, maybe they're not from the same school, but maybe they played together on a club team or on an Empire team and things like that. And so, and the lacrosse community is such a small community that it really never fails. There's always some sort of connection with people that we have here, and hopefully we get players up here that are interested in the college, that are well qualified academically, and then fit the type of player in terms of the type of character and the type of personality that we're looking for, and that's really what the overnight visit and the interaction with our current players really kind of I think pulls that out.
Now, with our senior leaders that we have, and we have quite a few this year, we're going to talk to a couple of them tonight. How involved are they in that process and trying to maybe, do they come to you and say, hey, coach, this guy, we think this guy's pretty good, or, so do you rely on them for some of that information?
Absolutely. And I think that, you look at some of our seniors right now from some of the schools, West Islip. We're going to talk with Matt Coyne here in a little bit from Bayshore High School. One of our top guys is a Bayshore guy coming in next year, and all those guys are instrumental in helping us find not only good players but the right players and guys that are going to be the right fit for us. And so it's a group effort.
Now, being in Division III, being a Division III athlete, the NCAA with their initiative of the whole discover, develop, and dedicate. What did that mean for you when you were a student athlete competing at this level?
When I was here, again, when you're 18, 19, maybe it doesn't mean as much as it does now, and something that I probably took for granted more than I hope our guys do now. And that's at the end of the day, that's what it's about. And we were fortunate to be profiled in the New York Times last year and some other publications, and that's certainly something that we wanted to try and highlight, that our approach was, and that's something that I think institutionally and certainly within our athletic department, you're going to find it from sport to sport, and something that we really value. And so, we want to win games. We want to win the national championship. We certainly want postseason success and individual accolades and all those types of things, but certainly not at the expense of the student experience and developing them fully as students.
Right, and we certainly know that our men's lacrosse program and that's what it's about. And those articles that you talked about certainly highlighted what we were about in the student athlete experience. So. Well, we want to wish you good luck for the rest of, we got what, about 5 or 6 games left,
Right.
and then the SUNYAC tournament.
Yes.
And we'll see what happens from there.
All right.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you, Geoff.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank Dan Mahar for coming by tonight. And after the break, I'll be joined in studio by senior Sean Reynolds.
What makes D3 special is the ability to participate in my team and within the broader community.
The perfect ending to a perfect season.
Being a D3 student athlete has completely expanded my life.
I learned how to lead. I really found a voice.
What time is it?
It's more about the experience rather than just a sport itself.
Without the experience of being a Division III student athlete, I wouldn't be the person who I am today.
NCAA Division III. Discover, develop, dedicate.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now in studio is senior men's lacrosse captain Sean Reynolds. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Hi, Wyatt. Thanks for having me here.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, my name's Sean Reynolds. I'm a senior here at Oneonta. I'm a communications major. I play goalie for the men's team here, and that's about it.
Your hometown?
Bethpage.
Bethpage.
Yeah.
And what's it like to be a senior leader for our team?
It's interesting. We have, a good group of guys here. This year we did it differently than last year. Last year I think the coaches kind of came together to pick their captains, and this year we had our teammates, pick their top 4 kind of. And I was honored to get the role there. I didn't know what to expect. There was rumors going around, but once it came, I made sure to let everybody know that I was really looking to fit the role, that I wasn't really trying to treat this as a joke,
Right.
But it was overwhelming at first, I didn't know where to go from here and stuff like that. But I'm loving the role. I'm glad I'm able to step up for some of these guys, and I feel like a lot of guys are inspired by me. So I try to give whatever I can to these guys before I'm out of here.
Well, that's pretty important.
Yeah.
Especially with the younger players coming into the program. Right. How do you see that when you, I guess, interact with them?
It's hard because, you have the older guys who have been with you for a while now. So, you feel like sometimes you try to treat them differently, but you really can't. You got to try to show everybody the same discipline and all that. But the freshmen, good group of kids, all very smart, great players, all have a lot to, they're going to grow when they're a senior. I'm sure this team will be, rocking and rolling around that time. But, they're all good kids, easy to coach, and I try as much as I can to give a little bit. We have kids who have changed positions this year, and I've been really trying to reach out to them the home stretch because they're coming along, and I think they just need that little oomph to really become something.
Now we're into the latter part of our schedule. We're going to be playing pretty much all SUNYAC games from here on out. How do you think we will match up this season in the SUNYAC?
I think there's no reason that we should not be making this postseason. And all these games from here on out, I've stressed to these guys not enough that this is it. This is the season now. Whatever was behind us, the coaching staff says it's glorified scrimmages, which I would agree. But here on out, this is it. Do or die for us. Nothing is lost. And from here on out, we just got to buckle down. All winnable games. So.
Right. Because you just have to win your conference to get the automatic qualifier. It doesn't matter really what your overall record is in the end. But let's talk about the schedule that we've played. The teams we've played, playing a lot of nationally ranked squads. As a player, you want to compete. How important is that for you to play teams, of that caliber?
It's a great experience. Don't get me wrong, and I try to push to the team that I really don't like to look at the numbers. I don't like to look at the forms. I don't care if you're 20-1. It's just us versus them that day, and who wants it more. But like I said, these kids that we play against, they're all. They have standards. They know how to, compete, and it's great for the team. And it's just for the experience. I don't care win or lose what it is, but it's all lead up to the SUNYACs, and I think that they're all great things. We've come and we've had ups and downs. We've had our positives and negatives, but from here on out, this is where we grow from here.
Right, and we certainly within our team playing goalie. Of course. It's probably the most visible, because everybody knows when a goal is scored.
Right, yeah.
How do you handle that kind of stuff?
Over the years, coaches, just look for the next one, and you really got it. No matter how hard it gets, you just got to keep pushing forward. And it is one of the most mentally, challenged positions on the field. And I've come and gone with it. There's times where I could really just get through the adversity of it. How many get behind me? But there's times where you're looking for the guy in front of you, that defenseman, to go, let's go. Sometimes you need it. You need that guy to kind of help you out along the way. But they say that you're either crazy or stupid to be in that position, and I kind of find myself nowhere in there. So I don't know where that puts me, but I don't know. It's interesting, but you definitely it's a mentally draining position. It's all it's all about who's around you and how you can pick yourself up.
Now, of course, you're really the anchor of the defense, and you get to control, because you get to see the whole field.
Right.
So in your leadership role, how do you look at that as on the field,
right,
playing a game?
It has, again, its ups and downs, but I've been very lucky because I have two defensive captains alongside me. Matt Coyne, he'll be here, and Hugh O'Gorman. Hugh is kind of right in front of me, and to have him there, to be honest, is a huge weight off my shoulders. I mean, being the goalie, I see everything what goes on, but he's another person who kind of backed me up, who's also another vision there. And that kid, I can't give enough respect for him. He comes out, practice day in, day out games, and that guy, we had a guy like that last year, Andrew Gallo, and when Hugh O'Gorman has a guy who has the ball, I can sit back and actually take a breath in the net. You know what I mean? Like that's the reassurance he gives me. But being there, you see a lot. You got to try to get these guys to, calm down, try to fix things, try to see things differently for them, and not, attack them where it's a negative way. But you got to just try to say, listen, you got to try to adjust this way, and I promise it won't happen again. Just try to talk them through that, give them a little, another peace of mind, but in the right way.
So sort of like a coach on the field,
exactly,
a little bit.
Exactly.
Do you see yourself as maybe wanting to be a coach?
Yeah. I mean, I was funny. I was talking to my other two goalies the other day, and we were talking about, it'd be great if we could have possibly had a goalie coach, just to learn different things and stuff like that. And I mean, if there's opportunities where people need a goalie coach for just, to help their goalies in different ways, drills, to get them, more, reps, I would absolutely love to. There's no doubt in my mind I would love to do that, yeah.
Well, and what about your 4-year experience at Oneonta? What one highlight do you have as a student athlete here?
One highlight. To be honest, I was saving this for my senior speech at the end of the year. We've been talking about it. But to be honest, I actually transferred here. I came from Cabrini College, and I came here my sophomore year. Okay. And a highlight that sticks out is I was walking up to the turf field, I heard there was kind of an open tryout or open, pickup game. And I was walking up by myself, not knowing anybody here, and 6 guys that are in a suite that I'm still very tight with. I was walking, they were across the street, and they kind of brought me along. And it's, from here on out, I've been best friends with those guys, and it's wild to me how warm, and home feeling it was to just walk right onto that field, and I was just in. I was saying if I didn't make the team, whatever it was, I got a group of guys for the rest of my life, and that was probably the greatest thing that I've had here. And to leave with here is, it's a big thing of mine,
Right, it's coming pretty close now.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't want to really talk that much about it, but no, less than a month or so. It's pretty wild, yeah.
Well, we certainly appreciate you coming by tonight, and we wish you good luck for the rest of the year.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, we'd like to thank Sean Reynolds for coming by tonight, and after the break, I'll be joined by another one of our senior captains, Matt Coyne.
Once you post your image online, you can't take it back. Anyone can see it. Family, friends, anyone. Remember, think before you post.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now in studio is senior men's lacrosse captain Matt Coyne. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a senior mathematics major from Brightwaters, New York. I've been a 4-year starter here at Oneonta on the men's lacrosse team, and yeah.
What's it been like to be a 4-year starter? Because of course, we talked to Coach Mahar earlier, and he says how the transition from being a sophomore, high school, freshman, senior to being college is pretty tough. So what was that like for you?
It was tough, but you find what you're really good at and try and stick to it. My stick skills not the best, but heart, ground balls, things of that nature. That's where I really see myself succeeding and helping the team better.
Now, what's it like to be a senior leader for our men's team?
It's good. It's hard, like Sean said before, about having kids on the team that are your age, and then there's kids that are younger who you're already friends with, trying to have them look up to you as more than just a player, more as like a leader, as a figure, as an example almost. So it's kind of difficult you almost want to be straight on with everyone up there. So it's hard, but at the same time it's a great great thing to be a part of.
Rewarding experience. You can put it on your resume.
Very rewarding.
Do you think someday you'd like to be a lacrosse coach?
I would love to have that opportunity. I love working with kids. I love the sport of lacrosse. It's a great thing.
Now, the area that you grew up in, that's a huge, I mean, out on Long Island, I mean, it's lacrosse, a big area.
Oh, bred into you. That's just how it is. Like, my dad played lacrosse all around us. That's how you're brought up. There's fields everywhere. Like, instead of soccer fields, there's lacrosse fields around everywhere for people playing all over the place.
So it was kind of in the genes, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, coming here, Oneonta, 4 years ago when you were being recruited, what about Oneonta made you choose Oneonta?
I came during the end of the spring, so it wasn't so snowy, it wasn't so dark, but it was a beautiful, beautiful campus. I had a great time when I came, and I met some of the players. I enjoyed the players that were here, and what I was correct on coming here, the players that I eventually met and became really good friends with that I'll know for the rest of my life, so it was a very good choice.
So for you, you looked up to them, some of those leaders that were in our program now, and so you think that they were good role models for you as a freshman, sophomore?
Definitely great role models. We had a player that came into a coach a few years ago, Adam Johnson, who became an extreme role model for me. He played defense. I played defense, so I saw a connection there, and he's a good person and even a great, better lacrosse player.
Now, for us within our program, you're playing on defense. We have, you play alongside with, Hugh O'Gorman, who's another one of our standout players. What's it like working together with them along with the rest of the defenders? Because it's a tough position.
Defense is more of a team thing than people look at. If we can communicate and play together as a team and help each other out, we become stronger as a whole and as a team, and we help the goalie out who's in there all alone. If we come together as a team on the defensive end of the ball and pick up the mistakes that other players are making, it makes it a lot easier when we play together than when we try and play one-on-one.
Right. Now, those leadership skills that you're transferring within the men's lacrosse program, you've also been able to utilize within our Student Athlete Advisory Council. What's it like to have the opportunity to do other things outside of lacrosse, really?
It's nice to see that the community not only looks up to you as a college person who's going to college in the community, but also as a college athlete, and to help the community with canned goods or whether it's leaf raking or something like that. It's something nice to give back to the community and have them look at you in that light.
Right, in a different way, because as we know, sometimes athletes get a bad reputation for some of the things that others do, and it's not necessary they make that blanket, say, oh, all athletes are like that, and we certainly know that our student athletes do so much with the community. I know men's lacrosse does as well. As you move on from here, do you think those experiences will, what will those do for you as a professional?
It'll definitely change my outlook on the way I treat people, the way I give back to my community when I go back home. So the things I've learned up here, whether it's the canned goods, the giving, whether it's a little bit of money here for a good cause or something, but I'll definitely take that back home with me when I grow up too.
Yeah. Now, what kind of your overall experience at Oneonta? Is there one thing that stands out for you that you can say that I really am glad that I chose Oneonta?
Definitely being a part of this team. Probably the best choice. Playing lacrosse has made me find friends, relationships that I'll never ever forget, never be broken. Different experiences, whether it's a funny trip on a bus or a good laugh with a group of guys. It's definitely playing lacrosse is the best experience here.
And it's really about the life experiences that you're sharing with these teammates, like you said, lifelong friends, and 30 or 40 years from now, you guys will look back and probably still laugh. Going forward, we get SUNYAC. What are you hoping for? What are you predicting?
With the schedule we have in front of us, it's the rest of the SUNYAC and Hartwick, and we can beat the rest of the teams on our schedule. And with that, it all comes down to making the SUNYAC tournament. And then it's a 2-game tournament to see who wants to go to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Now, good competition. I mean, we've talked to Dan earlier on the show, and even Sean mentioned it about the good schedule and the tough schedule. And I mean, those are the teams that we've played. I mean, get us ready for the SUNYAC, you think?
Oh, it definitely gets us ready for the SUNYAC. Those teams are better than the teams that we're going to play in the next 6 games, so it helps us there. Also, for if we do win the SUNYAC tournament, those are the kind of caliber teams that we're going to be playing in the NCAA tournament. So it kind of helps us there with that, knowing what we're going to see in the coming down in the future if we put the right foot forward and win the SUNYAC tournament.
Well, we certainly wish you good luck at the rest. Stay healthy, and I hope everybody stays healthy. And we certainly thank you for coming by tonight.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, well, I'd like to thank all of tonight's guests, Matt Coyne, Sean Reynolds for the men's lacrosse team, and also head coach Dan Mahar. And we'd like to just let you know, remind you that for all the news, sports, and results that are going on in our department, please go to www.oneontaathletics.com. And we certainly want to thank you for joining us this week, and we'll see you next time on Inside Red Dragon Sports.